we need to try and think of worries as not always super negative, not worth thinking about, just get rid of it. Because worries sometimes are things we need to focus on and we can solve.
Spot on. And like any sort of negative feeling, negative thought, negative emotion that we might experience, we can't, as you said there, throw them away. It's not something we can completely relinquish from our lives. It's something we have to learn to deal with and cope with. That's what it's all about. We have to let's continuously learn, develop, grow, and get to a place where we feel more confident in dealing with our managing and regulating our negative thoughts and feelings.
Hello, and welcome back to AYP Spike. I'm Adam, and I'm joined today by Andy Feast, my wonderful co-colleague, co-host, and co-primary program lead. Yes, it's another Friday. We're back at you again. I'll tell you what, this has been, to exemplify how, it's been a fantastic week. It's been lovely. It's been great. We've been in schools every single day, which has been brilliant. But it's been exhausting for that exact reason, because obviously it's a full day. It's a lot of presenting, a lot of brain science, a lot of all that good stuff. I, for the first time in my entire life, forgot my laptop this morning. Literally did not bring it somewhere, which is, a bit of a shocker. Opening your bag up, getting ready to open up and going, whoa, not there. So we're recording this 2 hours later than we normally do because I had to go get it, which is excellent.
Howler, but there we go.
It's not good. It's not good for me, it has to be said. But it's just a sign of, we've been talking to people about how you need to strengthen your neocortex, your executive function skills, your planning, your strategizing. I did not do a good job of that this morning because I was frazzled. I've had a tough week in terms of sleep. I just haven't slept that much. It's been early mornings, late nights, stuff like that, lots of work. So my mental bandwidth wasn't there. No. So that's the rocks of being sorted. But
yes,
looking forward to it.
It's been a very, very good week, hasn't it? It's been up and down here, there, everywhere. Knackered, absolutely knackered.
So tired.
And that's fine. That's
so
all
tired.
good. We all, loads of people listening to this will be in the same boat as we are.
Well, it's Monday morning for them, so hopefully you've had a nice rest and you're ready to go
again.
Keep
going, you lot, man. Keep going.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other. You got this. Let's just do a motivational podcast. But apologies from the sound of what I sound like, and if you hear sniffling and that, I've been battling this week, and
So anyone who's listening to this who, from a school we've been in this week, Andy has been rather unwell all week, and you cannot tell. He's done a fantastic job of putting up with it, because it's been incredible, because you've been, on the ways in the car and stuff like that. You've been genuinely struggling with it, and then as soon as you start your bits in the sessions, you've been fantastic, and the coaching, you've been brilliant. You've been fantastic.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Good effort, and this is something that's been going on for the last week and a half, 2 weeks now almost.
Yeah. So 2 weeks coming up Tuesday. So tomorrow for you listeners, if I'm not better, it would be 2 weeks. But that's all right. We keep going. We can't let these things stop us. We've got to save people's brains, man.
One brain at a time.
Brain at a time.
Let's go.
So too right. So it's been great. Loved it. And once I'm there, mate, I'm flying, and the adrenaline kicks in, and the performative nature of our job is so wonderful that it doesn't allow us to feel sorry for ourselves.
I quite like the little bit of, I was never a drama kid really in school, but I quite like the performance-y bit,
It's good fun, man.
In these sessions this week, we had a lot of, we're actually going to talk about it today a little bit, to do with kind of models and predictions and our worry system specifically. And there's a video we talk about with the Green Needle brainstorm video, and whether or not people can hear certain things, and how I can change your model to be something that's not necessarily in the video, sort of that. That's always good fun. It's quite a performance though. It's quite can you hear this now? It's like a bit of a pantomime. That's quite fun, coming up to Christmas. Pantomime season's on the way. We bring a bit of pantomime into school, so that's always fun.
My favourite part is when I say something I think is quite funny and it falls on deaf ears.
Oh, that's so good.
It silences the room.
Good. My favourite joke's the iPad 10 Pro Max 722. No one's ever laughed at it, but I think it's funny.
Every single time I give it a little smirk.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
And I see the teachers do around the sides as well.
Good.
They enjoy it.
Yeah.
For some reason, you primary lot out there listening, you just don't enjoy that.
Maybe we're just not funny. Maybe that's what it is.
It could be that.
That could be that. Yeah, you know what? I start to think it might be.
But we've been to a bit of news just before we get going. We went to the school that you and me went to.
Yeah, exactly. Our own primary school, which is pretty nuts.
Which was I love that experience, man. That was
great.
It was great.
Really, really lovely.
Back in on Tuesday.
Exactly. It was very, weird going to, talking about models, talking about how we have models for things. all the rooms were the same. I remember I
Yeah.
got told off by my teacher in year 5, I think I was in a particular seat in one of those rooms.
Mad.
And when I went back in there, the first thing I thought was, that's the seat.
Yeah.
I can literally see there's a kid now sitting in that seat that I got told off in, and it's such a salient memory for me because I didn't really get told
That's
off.
mad,
Can
man.
you tell I was quite a good student at school? That I did never get told off. And I remember literally walking straight into that room, how that's the seat, there it is.
It must have been weirder for you, man, because you're about 8'5", so everything is automatically
Not
very
quite.
small. But I'm basically the same height I was in year 6, so everything fits me quite nicely still. There we go. What can you do?
Exactly, it's all the same
Let's
for
do
you.
some brain
they
science.
they thought you were one of the students. They were like,
Yeah.
sit down.
Yeah,
Why are you
yeah.
standing at the front?
That's a hairy year 6. Cut that out.
No promises. No promises. Okay. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the worry system and specifically the categories of worries. In our, I think second episode maybe of this new series we did, the worry system, kind of what it is and why it's happening. So check back in on that for a kind of more detailed conversation about what worries are. But I want to give you a brief recap so we can dive into the categories we're going to talk about today. So when I learned this, I was like, what? That makes so much sense, but also why on earth is that the case? So you have a part of your brain that's job it is to worry about things. So anyone telling you that they don't worry about things is lying to you, okay? Maybe they're managing those worries really well. Fantastic. But no one doesn't worry because there's literally a part of our brain whose job it is to worry about things all the damn time, okay? And the reason why we have this part of our brain to worry about things, and the reason that worries are always so negative, you never worry about winning the lottery, you never worry about positive things, you never worry about having a good night's sleep, you never worry about those things, those are positive things. The reason we always worry negatively is because our brains evolved at a time, when we were cave people, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, where everything was out to get us, everything was dangerous. We lived in small tribes. Other tribes were fighting us. We were fighting off saber-toothed tigers, trying to catch woolly mammoths, whatever they were up to. Everything was dangerous. Everything was scary. So if me and Andy are walking in a forest with our pet wolf and we hear a rustle in the bush, if we both leg it and take Fido with us, we're going to be okay. Even if there was nothing there, even if it's a rabbit, because we've run away. And so we've passed down that fearful disposition to our kids and to their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. But if we didn't run and it was a saber-toothed tiger, we haven't then passed down those genes. So that's why we all worry about things in the exact same way. But the tricky thing is our brains haven't really changed. The same worry system and the same responses to the things our worry system projects and predicts is the same. It's the same process, So it's basically fight, flight, freeze response. And that works when it's saber-toothed tiger. Blood drains away from your brain to your muscles because you're ready to fight something. Okay, right, I need to get ready to go. But in a maths test, that's not helpful. You can't fight your way out of it. So we need to understand that our brains are going to predict negatively, worry about things to try and protect us physically from harm. But the world we live in today is so much safer than it ever has been. And we need to understand that we need to manage those worries in a different way and understand why we're worrying about things in this way. And that's how we can begin to manage it. Because we can manage our worries internally in ourselves. That's what we're going to talk about today specifically. But also, crucially, expressing that you're worried about something to someone else is a crucial way. And that's what we talked about a lot last time.
We did. And I think it's crucial to say that there's the odd occasion in our lives that we'll find ourselves and that fight or flight response is important to have.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not like a completely useless thing that we think and feel.
Yeah.
But Adam's spot on. There's no point trying to punch and headbutt your way through a maths test because you can't do it like that.
Yeah.
All right. So it's almost like we've unlocked more parts of our brains and generations before us and thousands of years ago, obviously, we have developed and grown and able to create wonderful inventions and wonderful things. But let's talk about worries. Let's do it.
So we're gonna, and I think this is a great way to segue into the types of worries. And for the audio listeners, check out the video if you want to know more on this, because we're going to put the slides above our heads with the different categories of worries we're talking about as we're doing it. Because look at that. Oh, the worry has arrived. First of all, your worry system is not something we want to get rid of, really. I understand people who have really powerful worries about things all the time that stops them doing things. That's a horrible experience. You don't really want to worry. Why am I always worried about this kind of thing? But it's crucial to understand that the worry system is actually quite useful. We do use it every single day, and it does keep us safe. So worrying when you cross the road, this is a road, I need to check left and right for cars. that is a positive use of the worry system, right?
Yeah.
This is stuff that is useful to us. It's not always physical danger things, but for example, worrying about our PE kit, as is in the example above our head. If for the kids in school, if I don't pack my PE kit, I'm going to get in trouble with the teacher. I need to make sure I pack my PE kit. That is a positive worry, because then you can do something about it. You can, as we always say, like, you can put it out in front of you, next to your door in the morning, so you don't forget it. If I'd packed my laptop last night, I wouldn't have forgotten it this morning. For the future, I will learn from this experience of forgetting my laptop and having
We're
the
saying that all week, man. Just put it out before you go to
Exactly,
bed.
put it out before you go to bed. And I would not, that worry in the future of, oh no, I remember that time I forgot my laptop, this time I won't forget it, will inform my experience and allow me to not forget my laptop in future experiences, which is useful. So we need to try and think of worries as not always super negative, not worth thinking about, just get rid of it, because worries sometimes are things we need to focus on and we can solve.
Spot on. And like any sort of negative feeling, negative thought, negative emotion that we might experience, we can't, as you said there, throw them away. It's not something we can completely relinquish from our lives. It's something we have to learn to deal with and cope with. That's what it's all about. We have to let's continuously learn, develop, grow, and get to a place where we feel more confident in dealing with our managing and regulating our negative thoughts and feelings. And every single one of us listening, Adam, myself, we can all do that. And it's not like you get to a place in your life where you're like, I've cracked that, spot on. That's not going to happen. But you just become better at managing it, better at dealing with it, the more you practice it.
Yeah. And one of the things about worries is they're going to change throughout your lives. Your manageable worries when you're a teenager, and the things that are worth worrying about, maybe more to do with school, but when you're an adult, they're going to morph and change.
Yeah.
So part of managing our worries is also understanding that we are not going to always know what the next worry is going to be, because new situations arise. But as we always talk about with neuroplasticity, if we get better at managing our worry system all the time, when a new worry comes up, a particularly difficult one, let's say, we will be better in that situation at managing that worry and not catastrophizing and running down a particularly negative route with it, and being able to actually, if it's something we can do something about, we can do something about it. Even if it's a particularly existential one that we can't do anything about, we can still manage that in a better way if we practice it every single day, starting right now, with any worry we're currently having.
For sure. And it's just all about that journey of growth. It is. It's understanding and realising that we are all in this, hopefully for the long haul, and we want to improve and get better every single day.
Yeah.
And if you make small changes and small tweaks to your sort of routines and habits, you can change and adapt the way that you think and feel about things.
Yeah.
And that's an incredibly powerful message. But the important thing with realistic problems is they're solvable.
Exactly.
These are one of the four we'll speak about today. This is one of them that you can solve and do something about.
Yeah.
An action. And when you've got something actionable to try and manage and deal with it, you put yourself in a really nice position and headspace, hopefully, where you go, okay, yeah, this is something I'm struggling with and challenged, and it's a challenge to me, but I equally have the ability to overcome it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you can solve these sorts of realistic problems that every single one of us will experience probably every single day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that, like, understanding, okay, I'm worried about this thing, let's take an action. Let's not just sit on it, kind of spew on it. If that's talking to someone else, take an action. If it's, it's hard because we haven't got a specific worry to talk about here. It's a category. But these are things we can solve, even if that's with someone else's help or something like that. But we can do something about them. So do something about it, because then you can get rid of it. Like, maybe it's an ongoing thing. You can't just solve it in one go, but you can act on that thing. And the only way that you're going to be then sorted out with that worry is to act on it. A realistic problem for cavemen was a saber-toothed tiger in the bush. Okay, how are we going to solve it? We're going to run away from it.
Yeah.
That's a useful use of our fight, freeze response. That's a useful use of our worry system. A modern day version of that might be a maths test. It might be a difficult, meeting at work. Just doing the prep for that stuff as much as you can beforehand is how you can manage that worry. And then once you're doing all you can about it, you'll probably worry less about it, because you're practicing that thing more. You're feeling more comfortable with it. But also there's a level of like, okay, I'm doing all I can. I think I can do about it. And then that is a perfect segue onto our second type of worry: unlikely problems.
Yeah.
And in this, the word unlikely is doing some heavy lifting. Okay, when we say unlikely, we mean like not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen. But we can't say it's not going to happen.
It's near enough impossible, but we can't say impossible, because some keyboard warriors out there will say that does happen.
Does happen.
Relax.
Exactly.
It's very, very, very unlikely that these things that we're going to speak about now will happen.
And that's the point.
Hence,
But because
why-
they sometimes
yeah.
can, that's why we're worried about them.
For sure.
If something never happened, you wouldn't worry about it. I mean,
sure.
we're going to go to another category where
We
maybe
are.
that is the case in a bit. But the idea...
these ones are difficult. These unlikely
are
problems
tricky,
are
yeah.
a real challenging one to overcome because it's not something directly in our control. So it's not something we can automatically fix and solve.
Yep.
So let's give an example. We often talk about an unlikely problems in terms of natural disasters.
Yeah, earthquakes,
Okay,
volcanoes,
for sure.
tsunamis.
So these are things that people in certain areas of the world have to be a bit more conscious of than we do in England.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure we've made it internationally yet, so I think we can pretty much safely say that people
If you
listening
are, if
will
you
be
are
living
elsewhere,
in England.
let us know.
If we'll try and help you with that problem, that becomes a bit more of a realistic one. But for those of you listening from England, okay, we do not experience volcanoes erupting. We do not really experience earthquakes. Not to say that these things are impossible. They are highly, highly improbable. Okay?
In England, I think... I'm not a geographer. That's
Geologist?
rocks. Geographer. Geography, yeah.
Yeah, geologist is
I
just
don't
rocks.
think it's possible. I think you can have tiny earthquakes here, but I think
Earth tremors.
to do with our geographical position on the tectonic plates, I do not think it's possible for a
us to have
volcano or a tsunami or an earthquake. So I actually think that here it is so unlikely
For
that it's
sure.
impossible. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we're just illustrating that like these things that are out of control that seem scary and dramatized from Hollywood. Thank you very much, everyone over there.
Appreciate that.
But it's just the reality, isn't it? This is something we can worry about, like heavy rain and flooding. This is something that does happen in this country.
Yep.
Okay, it's not impossible, but the extent to which it has a catastrophic impact on our lives is unlikely, not impossible.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we manage and deal with those worries that probably won't affect us
Yep.
directly, but we still spend time, energy, and effort thinking about them and stressing over them?
Yeah.
So we have to learn to manage and deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and the key thing with the realistic problems is they are solvable. So we need to spend time and energy on those.
Yeah, and you
ones.
can act on it as soon as you notice that it's a realistic problem. The whole point is, okay, act on it. What can
For
we
sure.
do?
But with these, it is more challenging. So this is why we put such a large emphasis on communication and vulnerability and honesty and transparency. If you feel these things and you're listening, just to communicate them with your loved ones, with the people close around you, just so they can sort of hopefully bring you back down to earth and give you a bit of perspective
for
and,
sure.
and try to help you understand that the likelihood of these things, probability of these things is so minuscule,
It's
it
tiny.
shouldn't take up
Yeah.
too much of your energy.
For sure. I think, a common one we get with these is planes and plane safety. And the thing is, like, planes are extraordinarily safe. You know that, and I think there's another comment, I'll get onto that in a second, on the news and stuff. But planes are extremely safe, but it doesn't, knowing all of that doesn't feel like it's on the
Comfort.
plane. You don't
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like comfort
yeah.
on the plane. And it's an extremely, extremely, extremely unlikely worry. But obviously it can happen, and
sure.
it has happened. And I think that part of the problem is, in the particular world we live in, we are surrounded by news. We're seeing on our social feeds, we're seeing some of the most horrible atrocities in the world. And the only things that you're going to see, because they're more sensationalized, they're more ludicrous, they're more kind of awful to see.
It's why
which
they're
means
news, because
it's why they're news.
it's so it's so
Exactly.
rare that people are going to click on these stories because, well, they're so rare,
Exactly.
and we're not seeing them all the time.
And I
So-
think you're completely right. And so what these things sometimes do is give us an inaccurate model for the world,
Yeah.
that it's more dangerous than it is. And this is why, certain people can spin up stories about certain groups and say that they're all doing this stuff when it's just not true, because it's not something you're really experiencing in your life, but because it's constantly on your news feeds, on your social feeds, you start to believe it is the case because people are telling you that it is. It's more dangerous now, that this thing's more dangerous now. And it's just not true. Like, for example, there's about 1 million people in the sky all the time, so I think that's the commonly used figure. But between when I've said this and when it goes out, millions and millions and millions and millions and billions of people have been in the air, right? And they've all landed safely. You don't hear about all
do you know
of
how
those people.
boring that news would be?
Yeah.
Flight EYZX.
Darren
63.
takes off from
Yeah, yeah,
Bristol, lands in Ibiza,
Yeah.
completely fine.
Yeah.
And if you had that, all of your news would just be
For sure.
Steve lands safely, Susan lands
But do
safely.
you know what? Maybe that's a solution. Maybe that's
Yeah.
one of the. Maybe we
It's a
should.
bit dull. I don't
there
want to know
should
about
be-
Susan.
But there should be a little website that has live feeds of people arriving at their
just
destination
being
safely.
living a normal life completely. Think about think about driving as well. The exact same thing. Like car crashes do happen. They're an unlikely problem, right? People can, those are real things. I think car crashes, you have a bit more control depending on your position in the car. If you're the driver, you have a bit more control. But at some point, not often cars crash into you. That is an unlikely problem. You can't necessarily do loads about it. But if we every single day, every single person who went in a car and got to where they were going completely fine and safe, and it will cover the news, So it's like it's the statistics and this stuff don't always necessarily help to understand it. But I think realizing that when we're reading about it, when we're seeing it on the news, that these things are happening all the time, the whole point of that makes it news because it's so rare. If it wasn't rare, it wouldn't be news. The news, by definition, does not report on boring stuff. Well,
For sure.
I mean, you can say it may be boring, but like it's not. The whole point is it's this new thing that's happened. And our brain, as we've talked about before, will activate more powerfully when it processes negative information. Your brain is more kind of ready and kind of seeking out negative information because it activates more powerfully in those moments. So it's kind of like understanding that step away from that stuff a little bit, I think, is, and unlikely problems, you can't do anything about that thing. So it's not worth the time and energy and effort to worry about it. I think is the crucial point.
Similar when we speak in the same sort of breath as fear and worries, and we sort of put them in the same category perhaps. We cannot let these things control and dictate us and prevent us from having life experiences.
Yeah.
So if you are scared of driving or flying, what you're doing is, if you're feeding into those worries, if you stop using those things and you stop doing it, and if you stop doing it, it will feed into that worry and fear more and more, and it will grow and grow and grow until it feels really difficult and challenging to break that mold and to get into a place where you feel like you can fly, or you can get in the car. Okay, these are things that we worry about, but if we overcome them head on and challenge and battle them and go for it and get on that plane, if we're worried about flying, and we would develop that model of this being okay, because the more you do it, the more you'll be okay, and the more you reinforce that message that, do you know what, it's actually quite safe. Excellent. You've challenged yourself. You've battled against that worry, and you've not let it dictate how you operate, which I think is a very wonderful thing.
Exactly.
And if you do that, well done.
And in a neuroscience sense, you're just building a better model for it, and you're not letting a model for, experience trumps any kind of fear. If you're scared of flying, the best way to get over is to fly loads, Like, I always use this example when I'm talking to people specifically about flying fear, is think about, the air stewardesses and the air stewards, and the pilots themselves. They obviously have the pilots have more control of the situation because they're literally flying the plane, but the air stewards, they do this, depending on what flights they're on, multiple times a day, at least multiple times a week. They cannot be scared of flying because they're literally doing it it's their day job. It's it's like
it's like you and me coming to the office.
Exactly. It's just normal. We don't think about it all the time. It's like driving for most people. It's just something so natural and normal. But the reason that they're not scared of it, they might well have been when they were younger, is because their reality model of what flying is like and how ridiculously safe it is has overridden any of the sensationalized news about it, any of those extremely rare edge cases.
Yeah.
So they just experience it. And obviously flying is a difficult one because it's expensive to fly. It's hard to do it,
Yeah.
But
it's very unlikely that we just hop on a flight. But yes,
exactly.
Your point is right. We may be doing these things, if we're lucky, once or twice a year, okay? But every time you do that, wonderful, great. And if it's not something you're able to do, that's fine. But it's probably something you're also worried about if that's the case.
Exactly. And which is understanding that. But that kind of fear of a flight is in the bucket. Stick it in the unlikely problems bucket.
Stick it in the bucket.
Can I do anything about it? Nope. Okay, let's move along.
For sure. Let's do it. Let's move on to Wicked Problems.
It's good timing because of the the film coming out in a couple of weeks. Wicked for Good.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. Obviously, this is not quite that. That's not this Wicked Problem. That's not a
this
problem.
this
I'm
whole
excited
problem
for
is
that.
solely on that film.
So, wicked problems. All right, these are tricky. I mean, all problems are tricky. All worries are tricky. But these are specifically the ones where there is a legitimate fear. Like the example on the screen you can see, if you're watching, is about climate change and polar bears, right?
This is probably the one I found most challenging
Yeah.
to get across in a way that doesn't arise fear and panic.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that you
Yeah.
can sort of understand it in because you're right. You see me when I was delivering on this bit
It's
and
difficult.
just sort of treading so lightly around like climate
Yeah.
change and like
Exactly.
the issues we have with that, and
Because it is a real problem.
It is.
You know, like rising fascism around the world. It's a real problem.
God.
It's so like, it's worrying, right? It is very worrying. And it is going to activate your worry system, okay?
but we got to be delicate when we speak about it, don't
It's
we?
very, very difficult. And it's a legitimate fear. It's a legitimate problem that you're, you know, that is in the world. But again, you cannot solve this problem right now. There's nothing you can do about it. And I also think, so there's you know, there's a bunch of kind of subcategories inside wicked problems. I think there's kind of international ones, like climate change is a problem that we face as a species, right? We need to sort this thing out as a species. And there are, you know, take comfort in, there are very smart people working on it all the time. We need to listen to them. And every now and again, you know, we can, you know, if we live in democracies, we can vote for it and stuff like that. But right now, whatever you're doing, driving in the car, going to the gym, whatever, there's nothing you can do that's going to meaningfully, massively impact this problem. So it's not worth your time and
For
energy and
sure.
effort to
And
worry
I do
about.
agree with you massively. Obviously, we've been delivering and coaching on it as well. The only thing I would say is that I think the message that we can't do anything
Sure.
because we can recycle, we can
Yeah.
try our best to buy electric cars and
Yeah.
minimise our carbon footprint. So, in the terms and relation of climate change, it is a wicked problem. You're right, because we cannot directly have a massive impact enough to save it. But if 6 billion of us did our little bit,
Well, exactly.
we
Yeah.
would be in a much better position.
Yeah.
Okay, so not saying don't do your bit, do your bit. Of course, we're saying that, but it's just the nicest, easiest
Yeah.
way to illustrate that
Great
we can't control massive change individually.
Yeah.
These are things we have to do together. So it's not a problem we need to worry about in a way that is like, I need to fix this myself because we can't.
No, exactly.
But we can do our
Yeah.
little bit, of course
Exactly.
we can.
Do a little bit, and that's such a good point. Don't, you know, nihilism of, oh, it's all going to be awful, it's all going to end up terribly, is not helpful either. That's another wicked problem.
Yeah.
You know, we can, in small ways, impact things. But what I'm trying to say is, with these wicked problems, if you are doing your bit, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You've got to try and take some comfort in the fact that you're doing all you can. There are people smarter than you working on this thing. People more, you know, spent years and decades in this field working on this thing. And every chance you have to make an impact on this problem, you're making that impact. You're doing your best on it, stuff like that. But apart from that, there's not a lot you can do about that. And being upset, worried, depressed about it doesn't change it either. So you might as well have a nice time. You might as well enjoy yourself and not worry about it, because you being happy you being happy in your life in general, and it's going to happen anyway, or you're depressed and sad about it, it's going to happen anyway. So these things, you know, it's a bit more like for your own sake, for your own mental health, for your own well-being.
Yeah.
There's a balance between, okay, I'm going to do my best, you know, recycle, try and, you know, use sustainable products, stuff like that. Like, that is all stuff you can do, but to a point, you know. And there are people in, actually, this is an interesting idea we talked about in one of my sessions the other day, actually, is different people have different buckets, you know. So realistic problems, for example, the leader of a country, the scope is larger, right? For international leaders, climate change is in the realistic problem bucket, and that's their job to sort it out, you know. That's that. So each person listening to this will have different versions of each of these problems, which is why we're talking about a bunch of examples.
We're just trying to get you guys to think about it,
Yeah.
I guess. And it's something that this is a relatively new thing that I've started thinking about and trying to categorise how I feel and think about my worries. And it's helped.
Yeah.
It really has. It's
And they
been
can
able to
move
go,
around as well.
Oh,
They
what I
move
can
around.
solve that. So maybe this worry I'm feeling is, one, it's valid, so I feel vindicated that I'm worried about it. Fine, all right. Now, two, I can do something about it. Oh, but this worry I have is definitely something I can't deal with right now.
Yeah.
Because it's out of my control. It's not
So it's
in
not
my
worth
remit.
loads of
So
time on it.
why am I laying awake at night thinking about it?
Yeah.
All right, and that's what people experience. That is the experience we have with worry and anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
These things can keep us up and have become a real detriment to our mental well-being.
Yeah.
That's not something we want for anyone.
No, for sure.
All right, and we owe it to ourselves, as Adam said, to learn how to manage and control it, because we want every single one of you to live happy, successful lives, and that's what we want for ourselves. Amazing.
Yeah.
Do the things you can to control and manage that.
Yeah. And I think it's also like these problems can move around. So another example of a wicked problem before we move on to the last category of worry is, you know, illness diagnoses, for example. That's a wicked problem because, you know, for some element there are little things you can do about it, but, you know, there are smart people helping you out with it. In the moments, maybe you can't do anything about it if it's you who's been diagnosed with something or your loved one's been diagnosed with something. It's a wicked problem because it's extremely upsetting, it's extremely worrying, but it's way, way, way more complicated than, you know, than something you can necessarily, you know, you can maybe do bits to do with it. You can change your diet or eat healthier or obviously listen to what doctors are telling you to do, but you can't necessarily fundamentally change the whole thing. So it's a really difficult thing to challenge. It's a really difficult thing to fight up against.
A really strong example. I think, just to be real with you lot, and Adam, you can choose if you want to keep this in or not, but Adam and I have both gone through a very similar experience in the last 18, 12 months with someone very close to us, both of us, that have been diagnosed with cancer, struggled, battled through it. The person close to me still going through it, okay, and thankfully for Adam, that sort of chapter is relatively closed now, which is wonderful and really positive news. But we owe it to everyone just to be open and vulnerable, because that's what we encourage. So we speak about it, and Adam and myself, we speak about this quite a lot, all right? And it's great because it makes me feel better, and hopefully it makes Adam feel better. So that just illustrates the importance of open communication and vulnerability. Do it, show what people might consider a weakness, and the people that do consider it a weakness, this ain't the place for you, all right? Because it's not, all right? You have to be able to talk openly, honestly about these things. But the fact that you've just said that sort of, from diagnosis, whatever it is, to sort of treatment plans or recovery programs, that is such a wicked problem. You're so right to put it in that category, because yes, there's things we can do in our lifestyle to make sure that we live a happy, healthy life. But for my example, the person close to me that is going through it lived as a consummate healthy lifestyle, you know.
Healthy.
So this is something that has happened to her in a way that is so unfair,
obviously,
and so undeserving. Not that anyone deserves it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't wish it upon anyone, honestly. But so for that person in my life, it's been something that she's had to deal with and processing, and continues to challenge and battle with. And she's doing amazingly, just absolutely amazingly. Such an inspiration to me, and how she operates. It's truly wonderful. But the things we can control is how we support them, and how they support themselves, and how they look after their mental well-being. That is a massive thing to say. But the wickedness of the problem is, it is in the hands of those professionals to help and support, which they've also been just incredible. So I think that is probably one of the realest ways we can talk about a wicked problem, because you're so right, and it affects millions and millions and millions of us. Even if it's not now, today, tomorrow, in the future, this is something we're going to have to deal and battle with. So thank you for bringing that up. Very important.
It's like, it is so hard to say, you know, and someone who's, you know, this was not, you know, you never expect these experiences. These are kind of the things that come at you, and they surprise you, and they, you know, they're fundamentally scary and shocking. It is so easy to say, you can't do anything about it, don't worry about it. Doesn't work like that.
No.
But we need
You can't avoid the issue.
Exercise a little bit of control over our worry system in these moments, because otherwise we are going to lose ourselves in it.
Spot on.
And it's so important, because it's so easy to lose yourself in it, to lose yourself in that despair, in that fear. It is so important for us in those moments to do this stuff.
100%.
Even though it's hard, even though it's difficult.
It's the moments we need it the most.
Exactly.
When it's hardest to do it, they're the moments we need it the most.
Because
Right.
you can get lost in it.
Yeah.
And
it will get you.
It will get you. And just know that there are people, you know, the medicine's improving all the time, help is improving all the time, the doctors have been so fantastic, and you know, it just, there's so many, you know, this is a whole different episode about this stuff. But yeah, it's a wicked problem.
Maybe we'll do one, because I think it's one, it's not just prevalent in our lives, okay, which gives us an avenue and a route into the conversation, but it's prevalent in hundreds of thousands and millions of lives. There'll be kids that we coach and deliver to where they're going through a similar experience. So I think we owe it to them to do an episode about it. I really do.
No, sure.
There we go. That's a bit of admin chat in the podcast.
Admin chat in the podcast. There
You're welcome.
A peek behind the curtain. So final category. We're going to talk about catastrophable, Andy's favourite word. It's been going all week about how much you love this word.
I'm so sick and tired of my own voice. It is mental.
No one else is.
Whenever it comes to it, man, I'm like,
catastrophable.
I love it so much, man. Catastrophable. Tell me that's not a fantastic, brilliant word. It rolls off the tongue beautifully. And we're going to get that certified as in the dictionary. That's what I'm hoping
how
for.
do we? Anyone know how we get to Oxford? Like, how do we like get?
Anyone have Susie Dent's number? If they do, please send it our
if you
way.
if you know Susie Dent, email her and let her know that we want to put catastrophizing in there, because
Come on, man,
it's
that's such a strong
it's a
word.
fantastic word for a negative thing.
Yeah,
you know.
and I think that's exciting, man.
Yeah.
We've called this something really intriguing. People are like, I want to know what catastrophizing is.
Yeah, exactly.
Catastrophizing is really difficult to deal with.
Exactly. It's basically, as you know, you can see the example above our heads. It's nonsense. Okay, it's categorical nonsense. Okay.
Yeah.
We need to understand that at the end of the day, especially when our prefrontal cortex is a little bit offline because it's been used all day, it's been been difficult, challenging work, school, whatever. We often, sometimes, if we're not looking after our well-being, can come up with some absolute nonsense, and those worries, kind of spill into each other, catastrophizing. You kind of create whole scenarios and realities that are not the case.
This is going to happen, and this is going to happen,
And this is going to happen. And then all this, it's kind of like conspiracy theory based on absolutely nothing, but just the fact that kind of rationalness, your prefrontal cortex is like just nowhere to be found. It's offline. It's like, sorry, I can't deal with this right now.
I've had
so
this,
you
man.
run down these crazy pathways, crazy thoughts.
Senses are heightened, you're tired, you might have had a stressful day.
Fight, flight, freeze. It kicks in, and then the blood is draining away from your brain, and you have less capacity for thinking about things rationally, and that is catastrophizing. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't. We don't realize it is at the time.
No, it feels real.
It's real. It is real. It's not. Yeah. This is not a weird thought. This is why people get locked in conspiracy theories. They think it's real because this stuff's happening. It's not. It's not. Your worry system is...
And we can convince ourselves so strongly of something.
Yep.
That's the whole thing.
Because your brain's super powerful, man.
So powerful. We really convince ourselves of certain realities that are just absolutely farcical. And I remember when I was a teenager and even in my early 20s, and I would speak to mum and dad maybe about some of the issues I was feeling about and worrying about. And they're wonderful. But the odd occasion, my old man, and this isn't a criticism, I'm glad he did this, he would just have a little laugh and be like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that what I was thinking and saying was so, what is this kid, what is he, why? And that really helped me, because I was like, looking back, I'm like, yeah, man, he was spot on. Like, why was I saying and thinking those things?
Yeah.
I worked myself up into such a frenzy, and I convinced myself wholeheartedly of these worries and fears that I might have been experiencing. And looking back, wow.
Nuts, man.
Come on, sort yourself out, young man.
Yeah. Exactly. Catastrophe, man. It's the thing, but we're all going to experience it.
Yeah.
After a long day, even if you're looking after your well-being most of the time, after a long day, you will catastrophe. You will think, assume, predict things super negatively that are just not real, and you won't necessarily know until it's happening. So, homework. We're going to set homework now for a real teacher. Look at that. Becoming a teacher, guys. Watch me.
It's so stern.
Before next week's episode, I expect you to have completed. No. We now have on screen the buckets. Okay, so the 3 buckets we have are solvable problems, we have unsolvable problems, and we have catastrophe. Okay, I want you, dear listener, wonderful listener, thank you so much for listening for the whole episode, to, when you notice you're having a worry, stick it in a bucket. Okay, if it's solvable, stick it in the bucket and then work on it. How can we solve it? All right, let's solve it. Be really, really realistic with yourself if it's actually solvable. Because I know some people who are like, climate change is solvable by me. It's like, no, it isn't, Steve. You can't fix it on your own, mate. It's more complicated. Sure. All right, you can't do it all on your own right now. Otherwise, honestly, why haven't you? Yeah. Be really honest with yourself. Is it solvable? Can I do something about it? And also, trickily, stats, you can do something about it. It's not. Don't procrastinate it. You can do something about that, okay? We can deal with that worries and stuff like that. So don't just stick everything in the unsolved problem, laissez-faire, I'm not going to worry about it. It's a little, be really honest with yourself. Can I do something about this thing? Then stick it in the solvable problem and do it. If it's not solvable, so if it is an unlikely problem, if it is a wicked problem, can't solve a bucket, release it. Because there's nothing we can do about it. There's no point spending our time, energy and effort worrying about it. We can't do anything about it. Obviously, that's hard. We've said that's really difficult to do. But just noticing it and trying to categorize it as that is the first step in doing that. It is a really powerful step in doing that. And just kind of compartmentalizing these thoughts is helpful in doing that. And the third one, catastrophe, stick it in the bin. Honestly, that's not a bin. That's not a bucket. It's a bin. Stick it in the bin. It's nonsense. Okay? It's not even worth time. It's just not true. Okay, nonsense. Stick it in there and then just release it.
Well, that's the tricky thing with Character Bubble, isn't it? They feel
Notice it.
real.
Yeah, exactly.
you've got to notice
That's the
it.
thing.
So this is why giving you the terminology, giving you the coping strategies and mechanisms, talking about it, opening up, showing it, because sometimes it takes someone else to call you out on your catastrophe bubble.
Catastrophe
All right.
bubble.
So Adam's so right. Look after yourselves. Live long and prosper. All right.
Whoa, bit of Star Trek in there. For that, I can't actually see if you're doing it properly. Oh, you are. Okay, fantastic. Because the perspective from me.
Too right.
Look at that.
What a nerd. All
What
right.
a nerd. What a
Thank you,
loser.
everyone. It's been a pleasure as always.
It's been wonderful. We will
Um,
come back to you next week after the international break finally ends. It's already been. It feels like it's been a month.
It has. Socials, TikTok, Instagram, the usual. We've got a website. Please go check it out. Have a look.
All these links are in the show notes, and email us if you are an international listener. If you are someone who knows more about anything we've talked about.
Sure. Yeah. Which is a lot of you.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
See you later, guys.